Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, in so many homes it's taboo to talk about money. We're going to be talking to two experts on financial literacy. They're the authors of this best-selling book, How Money Works. Their journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that in many families they spend more time talking about what's for dinner or what movie are we going to watch this weekend, and they really should have financial literacy and have those conversations over the dinner table. That's why I have my next two guests in the studio, Kim Scouller and Christa Mathews. They are the authors of a best-selling book series called How Money Works. Ladies, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Jeff. It's great to be here.
Well, I love it that you guys work together and you've known each other for several years.
Yes.
But what I said off the top of the show is very true, that there's still a stigma attached to talking about money. Parents don't talk about it with their kids. Husbands and wives don't talk about it. Do you want to start, Kim?
So unfortunately, that's the case. You know, it's not talked about in the home and it's not taught in schools. And so many of us grow up with this mystery around money. And it's among the things that Christa and I and the other authors in this book series want to really confront is this absence of knowledge and this absence of talking about money, because it's so important for everyone. This will play a role in your entire life.
And Christa, we see this on the news every day that young people are in debt. They're struggling to make ends meet. Some of them have stopped dating because they might have to pick up a tab.
Sure.
Tell us what you're seeing on the front line.
Unfortunately, like Kim said, young people, young adults, graduate students, we are not taught how money works in school. And we would argue that money is right up there with oxygen. It makes the world go round. And we have to be able to be a strong decision maker. We have to, as young adults, be able to stand on our own 2 feet and know that we're making the right financial decision. And that's where these books come into play.
Absolutely. We're going to pull up the website. And as we scroll on the website, talk about the audiences that you guys speak to.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
So we really want to reach out to underserved communities. And the folks that I really focus on are women. You know, women end up behind because there's a pay gap, there's a retirement gap, there's a career gap, an entrepreneurship gap, and certainly a wealth gap. And for many women, it's because we end up being the caregivers. We raise our children. And so we're not as often in the workplace. So we really wanted to celebrate women as caregivers in the book, but provide practical tools and information on how to take care of your family and yourself at the same time financially.
Yes. I know you both have some success stories. So, Christa, let's start with you. What's your favorite success story?
Well, a recent client of mine was actually my Uber driver. A couple months ago, I hopped in an Uber at 5 p.m. in Atlanta. And if anyone's from Atlanta, that is an insane time to leave your house. And the very first question I asked him was, how's the traffic? And he said, oh, I'm actually not sure. You're my first Uber of the day. Driving for Uber is my 5 to 9. Driving for Uber is my retirement fund. I said, oh my goodness, what do you do? He said, I work in a call center, but it's just not paying the bills. I'm not able to save and budget like I can or like I should. So unfortunately, you know, like millions of Americans, he had to join the gig economy and say, I've got to figure out a way because I didn't learn this when I should have or could have. And that's what we really harp on in these books, starting earlier, planning ahead and thinking ahead.
All right, Kim, same question. Do you have a favorite success story?
So, if we're going to address what women need in terms of finances, we have to talk about domestic violence. 1 in 4 women is a victim of domestic violence, and 99% of those women are also victims of financial abuse. And so we really believe that providing financial education is a way through that. So I guess my favorite success story is someone who came to me. She was starting over. She left an abusive relationship with nothing but the clothes on her back and her 2 children. She moved back in with her parents in Atlanta to save money. And so she worked and worked. She got a real estate license. 12 years later, she was one of the top real estate agents in the city of Atlanta. She bought her own home. Wow. She put both of her children through college without debt. And then she met this amazing man at her church who treats her the way she deserves to be treated. And because they have a blended family, she's now a grandmother. And so to work with someone who's starting completely over with children and see her do the work, take the steps, and just blossom and create the life that she was meant to have is amazing to watch.
All right, we talked about your series, How Money Works. Let's go ahead and put the books on the screen, because is there a total of 4 books?
As we're growing, the number is going up and up. We are finding different communities and different groups of people that we otherwise may have never been able to reach. But through education and through a little bit more streamlined, we have a new book called How Money Works for Special Needs. And it really talks to the parents of those with special needs and all of the hardships that they go through. We have a few more coming up in the series. How Money Works for graduates, for veterans, nurses, teachers. Everybody needs to learn how money works.
So beautiful. Well, if you recognize these ladies, it's because they're on the news all the time. So we're going to start with this clip. Let's go ahead and put it on the screen. I believe this is you, Kim, right? Or no, this is Christa.
That's me.
That's you. That's you.
In Cincinnati.
Yeah, very cool. Well, congratulations, because I know you both have the heart of a teacher. And by sharing your story and giving tips through the media, it really helps countless people that you'll never get a chance to meet.
Yes, it was very important to us to make this approachable and digestible, but also to make it accessible, right? I mean, if you've ever Googled personal finance or, how to save money for retirement, trillions of results pop up. How are you supposed to sift through that? Yes. How are you supposed to know what applies to you? How are you supposed to know that Google knows your exact stage of life and if you should be doing this right now? That's why it's so, so important to sit down and take action with financial education.
And we've got some video of Christa on camera. Let's go ahead and pull this up. I think you're a remote guest on this show. Doesn't it feel good to educate? Because again, many people will attend your workshops or your speeches, but you're reaching a very diverse audience when you're on the news.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, people come out of the woodworks. When we say financial education, they say, I need that. Please sit down with me. We have a bit of a streamlined way of sitting down with someone that's evergreen, that applies to everyone, and they're called the 7 money milestones. They're the 7 areas of personal finance we believe every single person should check off throughout their lifetime. And, it's an ongoing conversation. It's not a one-stop shop. It's not a one-time sit-down conversation. It's a culmination of decades of good financial decisions to set yourself up for retirement.
And
exactly.
And I think so many young people, and I'm talking about Gen Alpha, they think, oh, mommy, just put it on a credit card. That's like not real money.
I know.
So how early is too early to start talking about money in the home?
Never too early. There's a very big difference between growing up in a home that sees money as a means to an end or an end to a means. That's a very different money mindset growing up. And it's often very difficult to change and shape that once you get into adulthood. So we say earlier the better. My sister has 4 little ones at home, and she's already teaching them the basics, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. You exchange time for income, things like that. Right. And as they get older, teenage, college, you say credit cards are not to supplement your income. It's a form of good credit, right? Yes. It's not a bad thing, but you have to pay it off. And don't forget about what your interest rate means and things like that. Yes. It's not free money.
And we're coming up on summer, and I personally love the parents who say, go get a job in the mall, just go get a job.
Right.
Because when they see how much money is taken out by the government and they know how much time it takes to make $100.
Yes. We talk about getting your first paycheck in our books and saying, this is what happens. You say, who's FICA? Why is he taking all my money, right? So we're really able to dive in and talk about those first big stages. And oftentimes for young adults, it's the first time they're taking their finances very seriously. Like their first mortgage, their first car payment. Those are big stages of life.
And Kim, there are so many people who are reaching retirement age and they really haven't done the math, and we're living longer. And it's kind of heartbreaking when somebody gets to be 65 or 70 and they realize they can't retire.
Well, it's something that a lot of people face these days. They, you used to be able to work for a company for a long time and you got a pension and that took care of you in retirement. But nowadays, it really falls on you to make sure you set the money aside, you've taken the steps. Women live longer than men, and so we've got to do even more work on our end. Unfortunately, 80% of women die single, while 80% of men die married.
Wow.
So when a lot of spouses defer to their partner to make the financial decisions because women are busy, we're raising the kids, we're taking care of the household, pursuing our careers. The earlier, just like for children, the earlier women start participating in the conversation, the better, because your spouse may do a great job, but you may end up holding the bag. And so you need to know where the money is. How's the mortgage being paid? What's on the tax return? You need to know all of that. And so we really encourage women to be part of the conversation.
Amen. We've got about 2 minutes left, so I want to give you both a chance to give final thoughts. Kim, do you want to start?
Well, what I'd like to say to everyone out there is just start. You're not alone wherever you are in your financial journey, and it is a journey. Just start. Whether you can set aside $1 or $5, $100, whatever it is, just take that first step.
Christa, we'll give you the last word.
I would absolutely piggyback onto that and say start early. As soon as you find this financial education, take action. It's twofold. There are 2 stages to your version of financial independence. And we really want everyone to have access to this financial education and be able to, whatever your version of retirement looks like, whatever the lifestyle you want your life to look like, financial literacy is the key.
Wow. Ladies, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. We're going to end with the website, which is HowMoneyWorks.com. Christa and Kim, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jeff. This was great.
Thank you. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.